Hi, I'm Christina Myers, and I'm the editor of Big Stories About Life in Plus Size Bodies, published by Caitlin Press earlier this month. This book is a collection of essays from 26 plus size women, non-binary, and transgender writers, mostly from across Canada, with a few from the US and the UK. Their stories cover a huge range of topics, from motherhood to fashion, body image, and diet culture, dating, and sexuality. We have 7 contributors in the Toronto area, and we were very excited to be gathering this month to celebrate the launch of this book, thanks to support from Toronto Lit Up. And although we can't do that now, we want to really express our gratitude to Toronto Lit Up and everyone there for the work that you do to spotlight local Toronto writers, and we hope that we'll be able to celebrate with you in the future. In the meantime, we're really excited to be able to do a bit of a virtual reading for you right now and to come right into your homes, where we hope that you and your families and everyone around you is doing well and is healthy and safe. In a moment, you'll hear from a few of our contributors reading short excerpts from their stories. And to get started, I'd like to read a really brief passage from my introduction to the book. To the reader holding this book in your hand right now, or to the person watching the video at home right now, I hope these stories resonate with you in ways that are both familiar and brand new. I hope you learn something about other people and about yourself. Most of all, I hope this book makes you ask questions about the way you think and talk about your own body and other people's bodies, about the world we live in and its lessons and obsessions, and about the words we use and how they shape us. Thank you for joining us, and thank you to Toronto Lit Up for having us.
Hello, I'm Emily Allan, and I'll be reading from my essay, 10 Things I Love About Being Fat. I went from being a relatively small kid to being a solidly pudgy kid over the course of a couple years, starting when I was about 7. I just sort of puffed out, and I've remained puffed ever since. While the world has treated my body since that point in time as the number one thing holding me back from my own happiness, I'm finally starting to understand that the opposite is true. To explain what I mean, I'd like to present you with a list. Here are the top 10 things I've come to love about being fat. 1. It saved me from being popular in high school. 2. I'm incredibly soft and comfy. 3. At the risk of perpetuating this stereotype, it made me funny. 4. It keeps me warm through the bitter Toronto winters. 5. It delayed my sexual experimentation past when I was most vulnerable. 6. It has made me an excellent thrift shopper. 7. We have Lizzo. 8. It gives me a smug sense of superiority in thin spaces. 9. I'm super strong. 10. Has given me an excellent radar for shallow assholes. Now, 10-year-old me probably would have plugged her ears and yelled if I'd tried to tell her any of this, or drowned me out with the Shrek soundtrack that she had at the ready in her Discman. But I wish she had known how safe and warm the body she hated so much was going to keep her over the years. I want fat people to revel in our fullness, in our boundlessness, in our freedom. While it's terrible to be squeezed out of all sorts of places and experiences, there's also a pretty radical party going on in the wide open spaces, intentional reference, that we create painstakingly and out of necessity for ourselves. I wish that 10-year-old me had known she was invited.
Hi, I'm Shadoe Ball, and I will be discussing my essay, Stranger Words. This essay is about the impact of insults from strangers. I've lied in the past, saying that these insults don't hurt, but they do. I've tried many ways to deal with this hurt. I've tried giving the hurt right back with lots of go-to insults and a massive chip on my shoulder. To anyone that was on the receiving end of those jabs, in the past, I am truly sorry. I've also tried to be overly accommodating, and I've tried fading into the background, but both of these just left me feeling exhausted. It's taken me 30 years and a lot of therapy to understand that people in general do not enjoy having their body talked about, especially by strangers. And truthfully, it's still a bit of a hard change for me to make. When I feel the pull to discuss someone's body, I resist and stay quiet and think of any other topic. My go-tos are to bring up my dog or to ask that person what they're watching lately. Each day, I keep trying to choose my words more carefully, and I invite you to try as well. After all, you never know how you might impact a stranger.
Hi, I'm Tara Mandarano, and I'm reading My Body Civil War from the big anthology. Why aren't you wearing any pants? The question from my 5-year-old takes me off guard. I look down in confusion, taking in my beloved black leggings. Her outraged tone implies I'm running around in my underwear, but in reality, I'm just wearing something elasticized that feels comfortable against my swollen belly. What do you mean, I ask her, seeking clarification, but half afraid of what might come out of her unfiltered mouth. They look like tights. There it is. One of my biggest insecurities, innocently vocalized by this pint-sized version of me. The worry that I am being constantly judged and scrutinized for the way that I look. It's difficult to dress your body when you suffer from a chronic illness that causes bloating. I'm always careful not to draw attention to my tummy or my endometriosis belly. If I'm honest, I really just want to hide my body. There are some days when I just want to be invisible, so I don't have to encounter myself in the mirror. But I know that's not psychologically healthy. And so I am determined to begin a journey to accept my body more. I'm just emotionally tired of constantly fighting and losing a civil war. And what for? Despite all my raging, my body is still keeping me alive. I try to remember this when I'm in pain or frustrated when things don't fit. Over the last 41 years, my body has been through thick and thin with me, and I'm making a real effort not to criticize it so much, both mentally and verbally. After all, I have a 5-year-old daughter standing by, constantly watching me, and I want her to accept herself in her entirety and not just feel that she has to be pretty. It's something I'm still figuring out and learning how to do, but it's all part of my healing.
Hey, my name is Amanda Scriver. I'm a freelance journalist and body image advocate. Today, I'm going to be reading my piece, Navigating Radical Self-Love and Body Neutrality. I didn't know what fat phobia was. I never understood how much rage, disgust, and emotional warfare my fat body provoked in others. Without even knowing it, I had grown up with fat phobia all around me. The people who were supposed to be my biggest supporters in life were the ones who were the most fat phobic. Was chipping away at my confidence. I didn't know that I could escape, but I did know this. It was like being suffocated. Whether you realize it or not, diet culture has warped us. It's taught us what types of bodies are acceptable in society, and it has told us that we aren't valued unless we are thin. Diet culture creates an environment where we are expected to second-guess some of our most basic and intuitive desires, which sets us up to second-guess many other parts of our lives. He has created a system that demonizes and hates fat people, a system that continues to tear down and profit off of bodies like mine. Honestly, fuck that noise. I remember the day I decided to cut it all out and things started to change. I went to my weekly Weight Watchers appointments after nearly starving myself and working out 3 times that week. Our leader asked me to step up to the scale. I had gained 5 pounds. I was so angry at myself. She looked at me and said, "Maybe you're just not recording things properly." And at that point, I was barely eating 3 meals a day. I felt a blackout rage go through me, different from anything I had ever felt before. I wanted to burn the entire building down. But then I realized I didn't need this fucking shit. I was so tired and exhausted. I knew that I needed to eliminate the negative forces in my life. But how? Everything was so ingrained. How was I supposed to get off this hamster wheel exactly?